Hello and welcome back to the Top 100. We go through 100 at least of the best games ever and put them into a gosh darned list, one at a time. And on today's episode, we're joined once again by special guest friend of the show, Philippa Warr.
Hello.
As well as me. My name is Matthew Lees, and his name is Thomas Brewster.
That's correct.
Hello.
It is. Yeah. I've been known to have that name. What games are we talking about today, Matt?
We're going to be talking about two different games.
Whoa. Hold on.
Hold on.
That's a format change.
It is a format change. We've already broken one of our few rules. We're going to talk about two different games in the same episode.
Scientists said it couldn't be done.
Yeah.
But it can. And it's being done right now.
And it means we'll get to the point twice as fast.
Oh,
presumably.
Okay.
Initially, we were going to just focus on one of these games and then have a little bit of a mention of the other, but then we've played both of them. I don't know how this is going to shape out. We're going to find out. It is, of course, Race for the Galaxy and Roll for the Galaxy. Two games that look similar, are similar, but are they? We'll find out. Now, before we go any further, though, I'm just going to give you a really brief, not really even a teach, but a rundown of the flow of the game of Race for the Galaxy, which won't tell you everything you need to know about all of the discussion, but it'll hopefully just give you a little bit of a taste about what the heck we're talking about.
Yeah. Roll it. Matthew?
I'm rolling it. So here's a very vibes-based explanation of how Race for the Galaxy is played, just so you have a sense of the discussion when we're talking about the game. We're all going to have the same set of cards in our hand. Each round we're going to choose one of them as our kind of action that we definitely want to do, because we're all going to get to do all of the actions that get played. That means that if we all choose to explore, for example, then we all just get one action and then the round's over. But in a three-player game, if everyone chooses different actions, everyone gets to do all three things. But crucially, you only get to do the actions that get chosen. There's a total of 5 different things that you can do. So how much do you want to do that thing this turn? If you really want to do it, then you better play the card. Ideally, though, you want to do everything, obviously, because games. So you're going to be exploring space to try and find new cards that you can add to your hand. You are going to be developing new technologies. You're going to be colonizing planets, sometimes with niceness, sometimes with red colored force. And you're also going to be producing goods, selling goods. And by goods, I mean cards. Everything is cards. Everything is cards. The planets are cards. The goods that the planets produce, cards that go on them. When you sell goods and make money, what's money? It's cards. It's a pretty neat design, but everything is cards. Cards that you naturally end up playing build together a little tableau that tells a sort of story of your empire. And crucially, almost all of the cards that you play to the table are going to require that you spend that many cards to do so. So really, it's a game of constantly drawing up big hands of juicy cards and then immediately having to choose which of those you're going to destroy in order to get the juiciest prize possible. Just constant little stories being told, constant horrible decisions. Whether it's the decision of which of these cool planets you're going to colonize or which of these different actions are you going to choose for the round. There's a good degree of interaction of looking at what people are doing and working out when other people are going to launch a trading mission and jumping on the back of their action. And then the final part of the game, which you'll sort of see us crunching away at in the bits where we're playing, is just jumping our eyes around, because everything you play has a little effect that when this action happens, this action happens. When this action happens, you get this. It's very, very board games, card games, and there's a lot going on. When we played this, we were mostly taking our time, with each of us doing our actions one person at a time, but really, it's very simultaneous. The game ends when one player has 12 cards in their tableau, or all of the points that have been allotted have been snaffled up. So it's very pacey, very explodey, very crunchy, and the game is over now. Does that make sense? Yeah. I hope so. That's the game. Bye. So, Tom.
Yes?
We are here to talk about putting one game into the top 100, maybe 2 games.
Maybe 2.
Listen, I just want to know what your thoughts are on this, because you brought both of them. I know why you brought both of them. You brought both of them because
by necessity.
As you talked about in one of the older episodes of the podcast, you got rid of one of the boxes, and now both of the games live in the Roll for the Galaxy box.
Yeah. You and Quinn said I'd regret it. And I do.
Okay, because you said earlier that I'd said that you were a fool.
Yeah.
But it sounds more sensible that I'd said that you would regret it.
Yeah.
Because, you've kind of taken 2 classic games
and
destroyed one of them.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. Yeah. Yes, I have destroyed. I did destroy. I put the box in the bin. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
But I think that they are very different games.
I want you to tell me how you felt about this coming here with these games to film this. What was your thought about like bringing these two games to this most sacred and sanctified format of all?
This most rigorous format.
That only accepts one game at a time and one Philippa at a time. These are the rules. How did you feel about it then versus you feel about it now, having sat in this most hallowed of studios and played them both back to back?
Part of me, and maybe this is going to be controversial, this is going to come up as we go along, part of me wishes that we had only played a little bit of Roll for the Galaxy just to remind ourselves how it went. And we were just talking about maybe just putting just Race for the Galaxy into the list.
Right.
But I don't know whether you might think differently. Because basically, I'm going to put my take out there right away, which is that I think that Race for the Galaxy is a solid addition to the list. Roll for the Galaxy, it's fine that it's in the top 100 for now, but if I were to make a 100 list of the greatest games, does it need both? Probably not. And I think I know which one I'd rather be in the list.
So is your position on this that Race for the Galaxy is the one that you've invited to the pub and Roll for the Galaxy is the lame friend that Race for the Galaxy has brought along with it, and you were like, there's a reason I didn't send you that text.
Well, in this sort of analogy, the cool friend doesn't own a car, and so Roll for the Galaxy is the car, and Race for the Galaxy is the cool pal inside of the vehicle that is.
The car doesn't come into the pub, Tom.
That's true.
It shouldn't.
Good point.
It shouldn't.
But
under most circumstances, the car should not come into the pub. You're right.
If you're having
She's
a
right.
wild night, then you might want to let him in just
You
for a
might not
little
want
bit
to
of something.
drive.
That is 10 points to Philippa. You're losing this week's top 100, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, Pip, what do you feel? You've definitely played Roll for the Galaxy before because you remember the cups upon sight.
I did. I saw those cups and I was like,
You needed them in context though, because we used these
right.
cups for another little project we did alongside this. But then as soon as you saw them with the dice, it was like, doo-doo, like the two neurons
I
connected.
was like, I have played this before.
Light bulb.
It's a very specific insight into how this works. I think the exact opposite of you, and not just for fun.
Yeah,
Okay,
cool. That's fine.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, I'd like you to try, if you can, and this is a difficult skill, and it's something that, like, I'm not very good at, having done this hundreds and hundreds of times. Try to discount the fact that in the one we played, Race for the Galaxy, you did very, very badly, and in Roll for the Galaxy, you did quite well.
I don't think those are actually untangleable.
Okay, shall we jump into one of the questions?
Let's jump into the question.
As we always know, the way it works with the questions is the person who wins the game gets to ask the questions. Me and Tom won one game each.
Yeah.
So we're doing it 50-50, splitting down the middle style. That's just
I
maths.
could ask a question if I wanted.
You're not allowed to ask a question.
You're not allowed to ask a question.
You didn't win the game.
But I could have. I had the drive. I had the will.
This argument doesn't get
I
very.
just didn't get the role.
This argument doesn't get very far at the Olympics. Just when people try to take medals away.
Not yet. Have you ever seen someone try and argue their way up the medal table? Oh, they do that.
They do. I'm pretty sure they do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
that's fair.
Also, I had an image immediately after saying that being like of you trying to pull a medal off of someone at the Olympics, being like, "But I tried."
Or like putting my head through as well. Hello.
Sneaky.
Can we share?
Okay, so the first question I have on my list are these the same games or different?
They're different.
They're different.
Next question, please.
Yeah,
They
but
are
like in
different.
what ways are they different?
I think this, I mean, hold on.
Not just
hold
that they
on.
have dice, Pip. I mean,
That is a big difference.
it is, but it almost isn't as well. Like, yes. But I think actually it's like different in loads of like really
Spelled
subtle ways that make it.
differently also.
I know it's different words. We're not doing words again, are we? I thought I'd passed that lesson.
No, go ahead. Sorry, you were saying.
So, I think that like the shape of the game is just really different in terms of even like the tonality of the kind of the tiles and stuff and the way that your tableau builds out. It feels a little bit wackier, a little bit wilder. I felt like we had some pretty strong, cohesive, gradual stories happening.
It seemed to build into a theme a bit more easily. Like you went full military, and that seemed to then encourage you to double down on that.
I've just settled abandoned mine squatters,
Okay.
which I think I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, you're definitely the bad guy.
Because it looks like I get some military thing for that.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a bad
You're
guy.
probably the... Yeah, you're
There's
setting
a lot of
that with your military
happening.
strength,
My
right?
Space Marines, yeah. So I've got...
They're going in, they're clearing out the abandoned mine squatters.
Oh, right, yeah, okay.
That's how I would read that.
Can you squat in an abandoned mine? I guess you can, because I want the mine.
Well, not anymore, yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, no, out. In this, it felt a bit more like when I asked you both at the end, what's your story?
Yeah, we
it
both struggled
wasn't
with that.
a kind of, and mine was only a word association thing that I made up as I went along. But the other thing that I was going to say is that the thing that felt the most different to me was in Race for the Galaxy, it was very, here are your cards and you have to choose whether they are currency or an actual thing that is built in your world. And with this, it was like you didn't have to make those choices. It was, do you want to keep it and try and build it or not? But the actual choices that you were making about the resources weren't, do you want this to be money or whatever? It was, well, the dice are that. That's where that part is siloed off.
Yeah.
And I found that so much more easy to make those decisions, because otherwise I get decision paralysis.
Well, and that's what I felt was the main difference, really, was this game feels a lot lighter, and not just in terms of it being colourful and joyful and shaking cups and having a nice time.
Yeah.
You want some space on the racks?
Very nice sensation rolling these little cups.
Good noises.
Good noises all round. Well done, gang.
So even when you've got like a big stack of tiles that you've explored, that you're then going to go and colonize or build things, like the fact that you have these two stacks of like things you're going to build and planets you're going to go to, hidden underneath it, it means that even then, like you're only ever really seeing or looking at your next couple of things. And you can dig down, but it does mean it's a complete opposite of that big hand of cards that you have in like the original full fat game, I guess. But then also like, I feel that the dice provide an interesting opportunity for not making decisions in a fun way. The fact that you roll it and then it gives you just enough control to be able to like modify that a little bit to do something. Like if you want to do something, you can do it.
Yes.
Maybe not that well, but you can do a little bit of it always.
Yeah.
But then everything else, it's like, in true rolling dice fashion, it's like taking a punt, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so satisfying being like, well, I don't want to settle, but maybe I will because I've rolled 3 of them, I'll put them there. And then when you reveal it and everyone else has done it already, and you look at
And
the...
you've all picked Explore.
You look at the rounds... Well, yeah, a lot of time you're like, I reckon somebody will, and they haven't.
Ready?
Yeah, okay. Ba-da-ba-ba.
Exploring.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yes, we're
There's
on.
something so funny about all of us, like, banking on other phases happening, and then everyone was like, ooh, explore. Okay.
Well, I can go to the cup straight away.
All right. Yeah, everything that you didn't put on explore, put it back in the cup. And I get 1 explore. That was
money.
a incredibly stupid round.
Absolutely. But when you look at what everyone else has done and you realise the phases that you're going to do, and you realise that you just happen to have some of those anyway, so you're like, why not argue it a go?
Yeah.
It's so satisfying.
It's much breezier and lighter, and I think it really does embrace the fact that it is a dice game. It's not shying away from the fact that it's packed with like randomness and chucking dice and those physical tactile sensations. Like it's run through the whole thing, right? Like that is like a huge part of the appeal here, is that it is not as crunchy and nasty a puzzle as Race for the Galaxies. You don't have to make as many hard decisions in this game.
No.
It's often a game of like kind of plenty and bounty and getting more things and the numbers going up.
But
there are bite points, obviously. Like this little economy thing you got going on here, where you're sliding this little spaceman down to only put certain things into your cup.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm shipping. No one else is doing this, so I'm going to ship this good.
Always be
with
shipping.
this for money, please. I get 3. 1, 2, 3. And because of my space piracy power, I get $1 for every 2 military dice I have in my citizenry at the end of the phase. So I also get another $1. Pretty happy with that. Because look at this, also I'm gonna roll all the dice next time.
It is cool,
And it's hard.
and it's also hard. But I also think that like it felt like there was more interaction, because like in Race for the Galaxy, obviously you have a similar thing to like the placing the dice to do what actions you want to do. With the, choose a card and that's the action you do. And if people don't choose it, you just can't do it. But you do know that eventually somebody is going to choose that action and you will get to do it. Whereas in this, it felt much more about trying to like suss out the timings of what people were doing and looking at what other players were doing, because it wasn't enough. For example, like you like a couple of times did produce as your action, and because I hadn't left any of my dice under produce, and I might have had the option to, but I turned them into something else, I was like, dang.
I got a counterpoint. That only happened because we played Race for the Galaxy first today, where we were getting used to that kind of system, and then when we played Roll for the Galaxy, that kind of system, we were grappling with it more intensely. But if we played them in the other order, you would be feeling the same way about Race for the Galaxy.
No, because it's a different system.
No, it's the same. It's fundamentally the same system of like, I'm choosing that I'm going to do this thing, and it is.
It's a different system.
It's the same one system. Is additive and one is subtractive to me, because so with Race for the Galaxy, you are saying I am definitely going to get to do this, and there's an extra bonus for doing it, and then you find out what other people have picked to go on top of that. And like, you know, you might have sort of hoped they would go in other directions, but like your plan is essentially, okay, I've definitely got this, and then I'm going. Whereas here it's like, what am I going to have taken away from me when I reveal at the, you know, like when we all reveal, it's like, oh no, you know, the moment where we all had to swipe half of our things back into our cup.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing that feels so different.
I'm taking a risk here.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Ga-dong. Shipping.
Okay,
shipping.
That risk didn't quite work out.
Shipping and settling, is that?
Yep, shipping and settling.
Cool.
Development in the bin. It ain't happening. I'm sorry. Flip. I'm poor. Guess how many times I got in my cup? Can you guess? I'll give you
I think it's 6 or 7.
It's between 0 and 2.
What's it going to be though? Actually, we shouldn't look.
It doesn't matter what it is because it's what I choose with it. I have to choose something, so it's like literally.
But now we know that. Man.
Literally doesn't matter what I've rolled. You're right. It's like that's in a way that makes the game much faster because it means rather than umming and ahhing, if it was like you get to do everything, the game will be so much slower. And in a way, it's frustrating to be like, okay, dang, that's the end of my turn. You get to put it all back in your cup, which feels kind of good because it's like free, you've saved money, but then also the game goes quickly because you skip it. What I'm saying is that like in Race for the Galaxy, if you choose to do the produce action and I have planets that can produce, I produce.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas in this, I can have planets to produce, and if I don't have any of my cubes under produce at the exact time when someone does you get nothing.
Right. Spend a thing, that can go in there,
But then it goes back
and then it goes to here. Space admin.
The roll. Wow, what an absolute pile of nothing.
Love to see it.
Love to eat nothing.
What's for dinner? Nothing.
A steaming pile, oh nothing.
Okay, I understand.
And that's the point where it is a little bit more like you end up probably having situations, and I did it a couple of times, where I purposefully left things in produce or shipping, being sure that you were going to do it, and you didn't, and that felt double bad because it wasn't just like oh, I'll leave them there and see if I get something. It was like surely this time.
Sure, no, that makes sense. It's more that the point that I was saying is that like that action selection mechanism of gambling that someone else is going to do the action that you want to take place that round.
Yeah, that's the same.
Yeah, that part is the same, and I think that we engage with it more in our game of Roll for the Galaxy because we played Race for the Galaxy first, if that makes sense.
I don't know.
Because in Race for the Galaxy,
because I played them both a B2 times, so I don't think so.
I don't know. It's fair, but I I just felt like playing the two back to back means that like in the first game was almost the warm up of like, oh, remember how this system works? Okay. Here we go. And the second game was then like, oh, people have been doing this, for a bit now, and now it's time to actually really key into it. Because I felt like we were doing that gambling on other people doing things much more often and much more consistently in Roll versus Race, if that makes sense.
Well, in Race it's a bit more invisible, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, this is so highly visual and tactile.
Now, in Race, you choose the action, you hope other people are going to do it, and then you're going to get to be like, yes, I get to do everything I want to do. In this, the fact that you're not just being like doing a thing,
you're also gambling.
You're doing a
on
thing
one of those
in
things.
numbers of means.
Yeah,
when you roll like 7 or 8 dice, you're like, well, I'm going to do 4 explorers, I'm definitely doing that. But then you've rolled all these other ones, and you're like, oh, I'll put them all under there. And it feels way more like stakes. It's rather than being like, oh, I hope that someone does this so I can have a good turn. It's like, it means more because you get to do it loads.
As a sort of like weird little counterpoint to that, though, is I do think that this is being perceived as a sort of a meaner system almost in a way, where like if you miss out on a produce when someone does a produce, you don't get all that stuff. I also think that Race for the Galaxy is also very cruel in that way as well, where I felt like So a good example of that is, you know how the produce actions, when you do that, you have to spend everything on your produce in Race for the Galaxy. In Roll for the Galaxy, it's like, well, whether someone produces or ships is completely immaterial to you realistically on your turn. Obviously, you want them to produce when all your stuff's empty so you can get it, much as is the same in Race for the Galaxy. But the shipping has so much less bite to it. Like, because we didn't really have this come up much in our game of Race for the Galaxy, but when you have not got all your like nice ship powers lined up, and then someone makes you ship away your stuff
I had to
for
do
like
it a lot.
nothing. Right, okay.
I kept repeatedly having to ship away really expensive goods for like junk. And it was heartbreaking. And yeah, no, I don't think that this is like meaner because of that. I just think it's like punchier and pulpier.
For me, it was just funnier. Like, it was more light-hearted. Like, we would reveal, and then it was like, oh, you know, the thing happened.
Again.
You know, it wasn't a kind of, oh, curse you. It was like, lol.
Ready? Yep. Go. Settling.
Nobody want to explore.
No one anything's ever settled. Okay.
No one want to explore.
Well, I'm going to settle this.
I'll settle this once and for all. Yeah, I'm going to settle my little planet for fun. Hey, I've just settled the blaster gem mines.
Yeah!
I wonder what blaster gems are used for. Oh no, it's violence.
I get a red cup in when I place the world. It's sentient robots. What could possibly go wrong?
I've gained a military dice and a rare elements brown dice into my citizenry. So
Wow.
Just more more citizens.
Seems straight. You just got better things than I did.
Blaster gems. It's really interesting because I think this is like more. It's as you expect. It feels more gambly, which is why you have the highs and the lows of taking a punt and it going wrong or going well, including pulling things out of a bag. Rather than like in Race, it's much more like the fact that you have 2 explore actions in Race. The fact that you can choose to be like, I'm going to explore and just take a couple of cards and keep some of them, or I'm going to take loads and only keep one. To be like, how much are you willing to take chance versus I'm going to dig and find exactly what I want.
Sure.
Whereas in this, you're so, well, I was pushed towards, but I don't want to throw anything back in the bag, so I'm just going to keep taking one at a time and seeing what I can get.
I sort of have a semi-tie-in to both of these things in a way, to sort of move on to a different topic, but also with a little bit of this coming in. I've written, does Roll for the Galaxy suffer for its lack of sort of tableau narrative building? Because I think that we all kind of felt like this game had less of that sort of narrative generation that Race for the Galaxy does quite well. But a side question, did this happen because we're kind of worse at this game? And I think that to explain that, Race for the Galaxy, you build out a tableau that tells a story because you're trying to build out like brown metal planets and they all have sort of narrative cohesion built in because they're all of the same theme, right?
Yeah.
This game has that as well, but maybe we were just doing that less because more often we were just pulling one tile from the bag randomly, and the game actually wants you to be doing much more, getting rid of tiles to draw more and stuff. Because I was treating that bag just like a bit of a slot machine. I was like, I'm going to explore 4 times and take 4 tiles, and maybe they'll be good, and maybe they won't. Let's see what happens.
Hello, is it on the phone?
I'm trying to like get it to stay on.
Oh, that's really impressive.
Thanks, man.
Well done.
I've been practicing all week.
That's really good.
You
Thanks for lending me
really
these
lowered
cups.
your bar over the course of this week.
I know what to expect. Are we good?
Yeah.
It's so cool that Tom finally respects me.
I require more tiles.
How many do you want?
3. Wait, I'm an idiot. Okay, never mind.
Right. There's the 3 tiles,
In fact, sorry, can I put one of those back at random?
the tiles, they blind my eyes. Blinded by the tiles.
Blinded by the
tiles.
Whatever. Okay, fine. Fine.
There's a single bag dip.
Can you chuck me a tile as well, please, Matt?
Almost.
Almost.
Like, I do think there is something in the game design, the fact that it asks you to throw away tiles.
Yeah, sure.
There's something about like discard a card to draw 2 feels okay, but these are more substantial.
Yeah, they're little cards.
And I do think that's like a kind of like, if that wasn't in the intention of the game's design, that you would be more beholden to holding on to them.
Yeah, sure.
Then, yeah.
I think there's also something quite significant going on with Produce and Ship, where they are sort of dice colour agnostic unless you want particular like extra victory points or synergies. So it's like with Race for the Galaxy, you know, it's like, oh, you generate a yellow good and then you do this thing with a yellow good, and when you've produced a yellow good, it has this other knock-on effect, and so you look for those things deliberately.
Yes.
Whereas with this, it's like only really matters for an extra victory point or two that this is green on a green world.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like you're doing
And so you're
experiments on an alien planet. It feels like you're just putting a bit of cargo
building
on
an
it.
engine. Similarly with, like with the military stuff that you were doing,
Yeah.
you had cards that would then make it cheaper to build more military. Whereas here it's like you've got military stuff and it gives you some red dice,
Yes.
which influences, some of these dice value distribution.
Yeah.
But that just means that you are sort of being nudged a little bit over here.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not a case of, oh, well, then in that case, look for things with red on them.
Yeah.
Look for
You're
this.
right, and I think that means that like when we played Race, I was militaristic in both games. It wasn't my choice; it's just the way the dice rolled. But there's a difference between having a tableau which is full of like horrendous-looking people and guns and space marines and violence, and having three red dice.
Yeah,
and it's really fun to have 3 red dice, and especially when I had the thing that meant they could keep coming back. It meant I had the thematic, not the thematic story, but I did have the thematic fun of I was just conquering worlds. Because I just got a thing of being like, all right, I can just keep doing that. I'm gonna bin off Spice World.
Sorry, Spice World.
To play Destroyed World. I destroyed Spice
Theme of
World.
that is really good. I like that.
Yeah.
Poor Spice World.
Yeah.
I'm going to settle this tourist world
lovely.
for 4 cards.
What would the tourists be experiencing in your general vicinity?
The sea?
Are you sure? Because I'm seeing the tourist attractions of fuel cache, mining robots, mining world, biohazard mining
This is that meme
world,
of like my hands.
Spaceport.
This is the meme of like my hands look like this, so that theirs can look like this. It's like this is my mining. This is all the mining operation, and what do I give you? A beautiful tourist.
I think like your Qatar.
Yeah.
You've just done a World Cup.
Yeah. Oops.
Maybe if it was something like if you spend red dice to develop a military settlement, you get some of them back in your cup or something.
Yeah.
Like that
There's
sort
less
of
synergy.
engine would then let you start focusing in on the colour. Can I ask, like, produce and ship are this way round in Roll the Galaxy and the other way round in Race for the Galaxy? Like, do you feel like that alters them in a way that you dislike or like or matters?
I feel like this is at the end, this top 100 rank is gonna be a bloodbath because I feel so strongly that Race for the Galaxy is like far better than this game.
The mean way round.
Yeah, the mean way around. And I don't necessarily, I just think that it's like these being the other way around is such a small design decision, but it just
it's
ripples.
the one that has stuck out to me. Like,
throughout the game so much.
But how much of that is just optics and how much of this is like properly just inside baseball because of the fact that, as we say, you can only do both of those in one round in the event that they both get selected and that you have dice in both.
Yeah, it's more the fact that in this game you can have very fortuitous combos where you luckily luck into a produce action or deliberately cause one and then luck into a ship action and get to just have one turn where you just get a bunch of points and it doesn't feel like a setup and payoff.
Well, I'll tell you what I would say.
Because it just happens in one go.
What I would say is that like I think that has been done not to make it more fortuitous, but because otherwise it's really punishing because it might be that like if you only have one in produce and one in ship, you're never going to get that feeling of like producing and shipping loads of stuff unless you have like tons of dice going into that all the time.
I mean, I would say that there is a sort of, so it makes sense reading this, like it's legible in that particular way. It's like, of course you explore and then you develop and then you settle and then you produce and then you ship. It's like, it's a flowchart essentially. Sure. Whereas with Race for the Galaxy, I do think it is genuinely smart and vicious.
Yes,
that like, even if you are producing and trading, is it trading? Consuming. On the same turn, there is no way that you will be able to consume the thing that you have produced.
No.
I think the thing that really highlights
and I kind of like how much of a jerk move that really is.
This is what I mean, is I feel like they've switched these not just to make it like really easier, but it means that like you're and I think this is kind of the problem with this game. It's very popcorny in a good way, but when you look at it compared to Race, you do have this thing of the fact that you're just chipping away at stuff. You're producing a thing. You're shipping 1 or 2 things. The way that in Race it's like you produce everything. you ship everything. Yeah. It just means that like the stakes are higher and the lows are lower. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Cripes!
Oh, cripes!
Oh, cripes. Oh, cripes. I don't want to be in a pickle. I'm in a bloody pickle. I'm in a real old pickle. This is a right pickle now. It's cripes. Oh, cripes.
Yeah. No, I know it.
Yeah, cool. Just checking.
Tom, Matt's got 10 things out on his little
I know. I'm a little afraid of that because it's sort of
You should be afraid, human.
I'm starting to sort of whirl up the engine now. And it's
but
is the game going to end?
I will put bits of things into your engine so it does not work.
I see.
Like jam and grapes.
Ooh. And?
Humans do not like human grapes in their engines. They are weak and frail. Ours thrive on grapes. Like, I don't like producing and chipping in Roll for the Galaxy. No, because it's not that satisfying.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like, you have to like have a turn when you're like, I'm going to get loads of ships now, because otherwise, if you've like filled up all your planets with the right things, I got no points in our game of it because
none of the tokens.
I was like collecting all of the planets with the right things on it, and then I was going to ship them all at once, and it was going to feel great. The game ended.
Yeah.
But it's because I was trying to play it like I wanted to in Race, and with Race, it's just like, hey, you ship.
I wanted it to be I get to produce on all the things I can produce on, and then I get to ship all the things, because otherwise it was just like, oh yeah, but I haven't got much money, so I haven't got the ships, so I can't do the thing. And like at that point, it didn't feel fun, whereas these things still felt fun.
Yep.
I think.
The earlier end of the spectrum.
Rolling and rear Sonys are
Yeah.
wicked. And this is where I'm thinking, because the thing is, like, I kind of say I'm in the middle here, but like, I do think I prefer Race for the Galaxy.
Okay.
I just have a huge amount of fondness for Roll for the Galaxy, and I think it's really fun. But the question I have is, with better production on Race for the Galaxy, would this just be a different race between the two games? Because I think that the production looks similar, but I think the production for Roll for the Galaxy is so much better than Race for the Galaxy.
Agreed. Yeah. Correct.
The graphic design is just sharper, more legible. The
I mean,
iconography
it's
is
still
better.
pretty crazy.
It's similar.
Like, some of this stuff is still a bit nuts.
yeah, it is. But it's just, it's a simple addition of like, and I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's some drop shadows around some of the shapes in this that are not
really
in.
pushing the budget on this one.
And, text boxes that haven't even been looked at or aligned or considered to have backing colours so it's readable text. There's lots of things about it that's just like, if this was a better produced, more beautiful game, then I feel like Roll for the Galaxy I might come down on more hard. Some of the art in this is amazing.
Yeah.
It's like, not good.
No, it's a little scrappy.
Some of the stuff that's like not good is amazing at the same time.
It's very like, old school sci-fi cover.
Yeah.
But
Back in the time where it's like, I've written this story, the idea of like hiring an artist or illustrator, no, that didn't exist back then. So like you had a cousin who could kind of draw, and you really like bullied them into like doing it for you.
Please do me one of your special aliens.
I mean, at the end of the day though, it's like, I look at it, I'm like, does it matter? Like it has amazing character.
Yeah.
It has amazing vibes. So maybe it is good art.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good.
Look at that. It looks like the aliens are people in like Star Wars dressed in alien puppet suits.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't
That's
look like they're
true.
real aliens. It looks like they're people dressed as aliens, which really I think just amplifies the vibe of like.
Nice.
Well, this was the card that I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to develop Space Marines.
Wow.
It's Mr. Halo.
It's John Halo.
Jonathan Halo from the Halo game Halo.
Look at that bit of art.
Alien robot scout shit.
It's like a
Cool crab.
cool robot crab. Yeah, I think that Race for the Galaxy is absolutely dying for a reprint, a reproduction, something like that would make it more palatable
I
to
actually
look
found
at
it quite
and play.
upsetting how bad the graphic design was. I'd forgotten.
Yeah,
it's
really bad.
I still really like the art. I think the art has a place.
Yeah, the art's funky.
It's funky is a good word for it.
There is a sweet spot with iconography, and this wasn't it. This was the land of everything being in iconography, even when it really shouldn't have been and didn't make sense. In fact, Tom, given that you love your iconography in that game so much, I am going to give you a little test to see how well this holds up. Would you like to join me in this fun little pop quiz that we're about to do, just so that you can prove to me that the iconography is actually completely reasonable and makes perfect sense and is totally intuitive?
This is going to be the most professionally embarrassing thing that's happened to me in the last 5 years.
What does this mean, Tom?
Well,
Tell me.
Pip, obviously, that means if you consume more brown goods than any other brown good, you get to draw 2 cards.
It does. Well done. Which phase in which this happens?
In the consume phase.
It's at the end of the produce phase because it's about producing.
Oh well, okay.
Those brown goods.
Well, do I get half a point? I think I get a full point.
I mean, I wasn't going to award points, but sure, you can have a point.
We can't have a quiz without points, Pip. Come on.
Okay, fine. How about this?
That means when you use military to conquer a world, you reduce it by 1, but you can't use it on yellow worlds.
Not quite. The player may place a military world as a non-military world.
Oh.
The cost is the world's defense -1 with other applicable discounts. This cannot be used to place an alien production or windfall world. You get a quarter of a point. Congratulations.
That's
you
devastating.
Got this part of it.
That's the part I got. Okay, fair enough.
This
I should have
part,
noticed
no.
the black outline. Yeah, no, reasonable.
Yes.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time finding the colours. Thank you. Okay, 3.
That's the gambler world thing. You roll a dice and then maybe you get some cards. But I think this is unfair because it does explain it on the card. It explains it on this one explains it on the card.
I think you'll find, Tom, that it isn't to do with dice at all. There is a picture of a dice, which is totally misleading. There are no dice. What you do is...
you flip a card and then it's...
You name a number from 1 to 7. So not even a 6-sided experience. From 1 to 7. Then you turn the top card from the card supply face up. If its cost or defense matches the number, you keep it. Otherwise, you discard it. So, I would say... absolutely misleading, and no points for you, Tom.
Okay, fair enough. What am I on? 1 1/4 at the moment?
You are on 1 1/4, and your final card to bring this back.
No, what? You can't put it in the washing machine.
You can't tumble dry it. Thank you. So I think you'll find you've got 1 1/4 points out of 4, and my point is proven.
You know what? Like, we could talk more about the iconography and them being difficult to pass and you finding it sort of an information overload. And also, to be fair, everyone else finding it an information overload around the table. But you have proved that point perfectly with your quiz. Congratulations. We can move on to the next point in our discussion.
Do you want to know what the bonus question was going to be if you'd excelled yourself? Because I was
Give me the bonus
he
question.
Probably won't know this one.
Is that like a that's something on a back of a shampoo bottle or not a shampoo bottle, like some kind of chemical thing, right?
Correct. It is the NFPA 703 safety square for benzene.
Ah, excellent. Okay, good to know.
I have another question.
Yep.
This is not really a question, but I love that both of these games feel like a race.
Pick you out for this.
This is more of a statement than a question.
Yeah.
Tom, you are on the platform. This is your platform. You don't need to do that. This is more of a statement than a question. You can just say something.
Shall I try it again?
What have you done?
Okay.
Shall I try it again?
Why have you done this?
But make it sound like a question at the end.
Okay, yeah, I'll read it again, but with mix up.
Yeah.
This is not really a question, but I love that both of these games feel like a race.
Did they feel like a race?
Yes.
I didn't find that.
Here we go. No, hold on. Hold the fort.
You can't just shout louder to make us change our minds. It's not how conversations work.
Worked for so
I've
long.
changed my mind.
I think so. This actually ties back to this production and shipping thing.
Okay.
My favourite part of Race for the Galaxy when we played it was knowing that you were going to end the game because you were building up your tableau and I could see that you had 11 cards and you were ready to seal off the game, and I was desperately trying to get it so that I could produce on all my planets and have that big turn where I ship and sell everything off and get my big haul of points before the game slammed shut, and that felt like a race, and that felt like player interaction that I did not feel was in this game because it was a surprise to both of you when this game ended. Dong, settling.
Oh.
Settling. Looks like this time we're all just having to settle. It's free dice though. Free dice straight back into the bin.
Totes. I have a gateway station now. Gain a consumption/purple dice into your citizenry when you place this world. Nice.
Game's over.
Oh no.
Really? Yep. Got out my full thing. I actually didn't mean for that to happen. I just
Let's keep playing. I'm having fun.
Whereas in Race for the Galaxy, I could feel that it was nearly over, breathing down the back of my neck for turn after turn after turn, and then I was like, oh my god, thank God, I've managed. And it's proper, that meme of the 3 people on the podium, and it was like, I felt like, yes, I've done it, I've won, and I came last. But it felt tense, and it felt like we were, the action economy of that game, trying to get these things out desperately as quickly as you can, bidding off cards and making those sacrifices so you can get things out onto the table, so you can score those points.
I think it's because they're fast.
Yeah, sure.
I think especially because Race to the Galaxy, when we played it, was a little slow because we were taking our time with it. But when everyone knows it, and you've played it a few times, because it's all simultaneous, it's like...
Yeah.
I think it does have that peppiness because it's like bang, bang, bang. You're just like, you're halfway through the game before you know it.
Sure.
Which is like, it feels like a sprint in a way that's fun.
And I think like missing out on actions in that ecosystem, knowing that the game is pretty short, knowing that you've only got limited actions before it's going to just like slam shut out of nowhere.
Bad.
When you miss something, it feels devastating. It feels like you're falling behind in the race, to me at least.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I think that like, in a way, the only thing I've had about this is that I found that there are some more interesting decisions, especially with the dice, of being like, you know what, I'm going to put these dice in this column because if it does happen, great, that'll be really useful. But if it doesn't happen, brilliant, they're going straight in my cup. I can't afford to buy them back anyway.
Sure.
So it's like there was elements of like the kind of, oh no, you could, but then there were curves to it, you're right.
I don't know. I think for me, it was like I liked this being a lot lighter because it meant I could go faster. It gave me permission to almost be like, look, we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time.
We're rolling dice.
But like, so I was like, maybe not the right attitude, but I was like, I'm probably not going to win, but I'm going to try and do I want my Galactic Salon.
100%.
I want my, whereas the previous one, like, and it's to do with how my brain works, how the game works.
It is more overwhelming.
I was just kind of like, if I keep taking ages with my turns, other people are going to have to sit around. And then, like, I panic. So I'm like, but it feels like a weightier game.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but if I do this, then I'll be so far behind. And then everyone, like, then what's the point in me playing? Because I'm never going to catch up that ground. Because your engine had come online. Yours had, like, clearly
I was a horrible military
and I was
monster.
just like, what do I even do?
I like that you've immediately given yourself the card that gives you the most paralyzing set of options possible.
Like that chasm of crunch is definitely a thing with like a lot of games where it's like, especially if it is simultaneous, when everyone's done and then you have to wait for someone, and if you're the person who are being waited for, it's kind of horrible. I think actually one of the things with Roll for the Galaxy is in some ways that is worse because of the fact that sometimes you roll 1 dice on your turn, other times you roll 7. However, it's better because of that, because it's like, it means that every now and then the turns are kind of unequal. Someone's going to have a crunchy, difficult turn, and then the next turn will be easy. So there's at least an element of people being like, it's fine. No one's expecting the turns to be the same length. I think it is like a lot more friendly and open, whereas I think Race for the Galaxy is like, it's really great, but it's pretty intense. And if you're not like a gamey game person, it's a lot of cards in hands and a lot of choices constantly.
Or if it's just not how your brain do.
For sure.
Well, you were talking about, and this is a counterpoint, in that I look at this, admittedly, as well, and I'm like, in fact, I want to have things more popping off. I want to have like a thing that does that and does that. But then in Race to the Galaxy, it was interesting because Pip was struggling with the fact that the rules are just scattered around all over the place, and you could organise them to be a bit
I'm
more.
like, by the time I've finished finding out what this does over here, then I'm like, I've forgotten what the other thing that was the knock-on effect for over there. And so it was like, it felt like I was being asked to make many choices for one move, but I couldn't hold them all in my head at the same time, and so I was, and then the pressure of like, they've both finished. Oh no!
But then I find that for me is the game. It's almost like playing bingo, of being like, oh yeah, and that and that and that. But it is a lot. Arguably, for most people, probably a bit much.
In our game of Race for the Galaxy, you had such a large hand of cards that then you were sort of being like, oh my god, how am I going to pass through all of this information?
It really wasn't my kind of ADHD friendly.
Yeah.
I had this huge hand of cards thanks to all of the exploring, and then I just fully had that decision paralysis.
So we like Race for the Galaxy, but we have some points against it. Roll for the Galaxy, however, I sense, Pip, I'm getting this little feeling that you might prefer it.
It's got so many yummy looking dice, Tom. And it's
That
got
can't be the only
cups.
reason.
It's got cups and dice.
Okay, that's the second. 2 reasons, cups and dice.
Which brings me on to my next question.
Okay.
If you were a galaxy, i.e. the Milky Way, do you think you'd get lonely?
I mean, I contain multitudes.
Yeah.
You contain multitudes as well?
Yeah, there's a lot of galaxies out there that you could probably pal up with. Are you sentient?
I am, yeah.
Right.
And finally, I'd like to ask, could/should you own both of these games?
No.
Okay, but you do own both of these games.
Yeah, and I'm sad about it.
You
Especially
can
'cause
own
you've
both
decided that-
and squish them into one box.
Yes. Oh, this is so sad, Tom. I'm really sad for you because, like, you got rid of the box for the game that you now, like, massively prefer.
Yeah. I was young.
I will say, though, it may come around, and that I was young is kind of a thing, right? Because I think that Roll for the Galaxy is lighter, it's peppier, it's more fun, it's easier to get to the table.
Yes.
And I can see why you liked that one more before, and I can see why you like Race now.
This is the Roll for the Galaxy box in all of its glory, and you can see that Race for the Galaxy, the entirety of Race for the Galaxy, minus a few little tokens, fits in there.
Just these cards.
Isn't that mad?
Yes.
Like, look at all of this space that there is, this cavernous amount of box, and then you could have this tiny little svelte game just in a little deck sleeve.
Which is
thingy.
why it's a great shame that you can't just get a copy of Race for the Galaxy in a box this big that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
what we should have.
Get in touch with us.
Get in touch with us.
Get in touch.
We can sort it out.
We can help you out with that.
We'll make the
do
game
it.
look good.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, because then you've got like a real gamer's game, punchy, horrible card game race
in that many
you can
cards.
just get out and play in the pub or something, and that's like dream stuff.
I think that's
but
what I
only
like about
for
it.
horrible brain nerds.
What do you think the third one's going to be?
Run from the galaxy.
To Galaxy to Galaxy. Furious.
I have a final question, which is also more of a statement.
Should we just let him monologue?
You are
I'm
banned
going
from
with it,
conventions.
We know that Roll for the Galaxy feels more fun, but is it actually more fun?
I had more fun. I find it an easier sell for people, and I also just find it a thing that I can relax into better. And I think part of that is the tactility of the whole thing. The flow of the phases is a lot easier for people to wrap their heads around. So it's easier to teach to new people because you can lure them in with the dice and the cups.
I think they're both really great. I just think that Roll for the Galaxy is like a get it out on a Saturday afternoon and play it with some people who just are a bit brain dead and want to have a fun time.
Is this a hangover game for you?
Fun thing. Oh, this is absolutely a kind of like a compromise. If someone's like, can
Except
we play
for
a
the
Euro?
loud.
Yeah, the loud dice.
Yeah, we'd be like, let's do it quietly. But
It is quite shrill, isn't
It's
it, that
really
sound?
loud.
It starts off being fun, and then it's like, it's actually when you've only got a few in, but when you have loads of dice in your cup, no, I like that sound.
There's a middle that is bad.
You don't want me to shake the cup?
I just think that, no, I don't want you to shake the cup. I've had enough of that. It's too close to my ear. This is a game that you could play with a lot of different people in a lot of different circumstances. And I think it's a game that you could play and consistently have fun. But I think the Race for the Galaxy is a game where if you play it with the right sorts of people who love that horrible crunch and that meanness and that psych out, it's going to be much more memorable, much more exciting. But I just wish... Sorry, Pip, I'm almost done. And then you can do that while you wait for it.
Oh, that noise is fine.
It's a little softer. Getting a jam on. All right.
Tell us.
I wish that they made it. I wish that if this had it so that you have your cards and then your actions were like some little tiles or something. Ooh. Then I think it would like it just needs something.
I mean, I do
That's
like a
not a
tile.
bad idea. Like,
Maybe even some poker chips or something. Are we almost ready to do the ranking?
well, I think we're almost ready to do the ranking.
I have a question because in my mind I was a winner. However,
In my mind, I was a winner. What does that even mean?
Well, we're only supposed to have one
we
winner.
need to answer a big question, so I have bigged it. I have bigged the question for big people.
Will it even fit on the camera?
Yeah.
What is so great about that deserted alien library, though? Concerned viewers demand to know.
It's a
could
deserted
it be?
alien library. Fantastic.
So that is my question to you
Is
two.
it to us or to the game or to God?
I think it's just to the galaxy in general. Are you okay with me not putting this back in until I've drawn things? I really don't want this ever again.
I think it would just be too funny if you got it, unfortunately.
For f***'s sake. hate this library so much.
How do you keep drawing deserted alien library over and over again? It's quite a large bag of tiles.
I hate this so much.
I feel like this is like a drama when like you're actually in a coma in a deserted library.
Yeah.
And they're trying to wake you up. And you're like, another deserted library card. How strange.
Yes,
This is a cowboy game, and I've drawn the deserted library again.
this is the worst.
playing Kaplunk.
Fine, it could just live there.
Pull out the stick. Let's just stick just says deserted library
on it.
It's like we're in a Doctor Who episode.
I'm just like eating an ice lolly and a stick at the end. Wait!
But they've spelled deserted like dessert.
Amazing.
All right, we're ranking it. We're ranking it.
Yeah, it's time to get it.
I'm gonna get the board. I'm gonna get the board.
Gonna get the board.
All right, I'm coming in. I'm coming in.
Punch and Judy.
Top
Punch
100s.
and- Oh,
Top 100s in your house.
How many times, Pip? It's not a Punch and Judy, and it never will be.
one day it will be.
So, currently, number one, we have Eldorado, as it remains.
Yep.
Agricola in second, and Galaxy Trucker bringing up the rear.
Hot third.
And we're going to put both of these into the list, I think. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with that. They're not in my pocket. It's fine. They're
They're
over
on
here.
the board.
I got it.
I think both of them going into the list
Whoa.
makes sense.
Whoa.
Maybe to be removed at a later date.
I mean, wobbly sitch. Don't worry about it.
Until we've got 100 games in here, it doesn't really make any sense to like not put the things that we've spent
Okay.
like 40 minutes talking about
Yeah,
into
no,
the
I
thing.
think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think, to be honest, a lot of the rules went straight into the bin when we put Ra inside of Eldorado.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
So, okay, we got Roll for the
Well,
Galaxy.
he put Race for the Galaxy inside
Inside
of Roll for the Galaxy. So,
Therefore, we've got another Inception moment.
yes.
I did
Pile
bring
them
my
up.
scissors again, just in case. Always be prepared.
So, yeah, where are you going to put, like,
Can I,
obviously I feel like you're going to put this higher than this, so, like, just
Yeah,
where's
shall
the
I
vibe?
give us a little start point that we can sort of debate?
I mean, I feel
I
like
think that's it, actually. I'm just going to rotate Eldorado slightly.
Eldorado is now at 90 degrees.
This is what I would do.
Okay.
Eldorado, Race for the Galaxy, Agricola, Galaxy Trucker, Roll for the Galaxy.
Here's my thinking. I think Race for the Galaxy is flatly the better game, and I actually prefer it to Agricola because I think that actually do I? Oh, that's another question. There's so
And,
many like
it's
axes.
so hard to it's so hard to balance something like Agricola. The first fight we had, Agricola versus Eldorado, of being like Agricola is like broad and exciting, and you could do so many things with it again and again and again. But Eldorado is just really fun.
It is just more fun.
And in the end, just fun won.
It did.
But then today, I feel like Roll for the Galaxy is just really fun.
Yeah.
But I feel like Race for the Galaxy, it's like there's no one hat fits all in this situation in a way that's kind of frustrating.
Sure.
I think they're both under Agricola.
I'm pretty happy to put them both under Agricola. Presume if Race for the Galaxy is on top.
Slickerer.
You think
Do you
Agricola?
think Agricola is slick?
Well, I mean, in
It's not-
terms
it's not
of
too-
following the flow.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. I thought you meant like the Fonz.
Yeah.
So you can. That's why my reaction was so like, yeah, you can see now. You'd be like, hey, you wanna come pray for children? That was not slick. That's just put me on a list, isn't it? All right, all right.
Let's go past
All right,
that.
I am happy with that. And to be honest, when I think about is Galaxy Trucker, if I had to choose between Galaxy Trucker and Roll for the Galaxy, I feel like my heart belongs to Galaxy Trucker. It feels bad putting something on the list of the bottom of a list, but it's still for now one of the top 100 best games
It's
of
still
all time.
the one. I mean, is that 2
We're not-
items or 1, 2, 3, 4? It's the 5th best game of all time.
I don't know that's how it works necessarily.
Okay.
Nothing has a number until we've got 100 games on there.
Rio Grande games, you can't put that
Can't
on
put
the
that on
box
there.
of the game.
But for now, it is, in our mind, one of the top 100.
I'd like to introduce a new mechanic, though. Pip got absolutely owned here on the top 100 board. I feel like, Pip, you should receive 2 tokens to cash in at a later date.
Okay, yeah. Those are 2 tokens, Pip.
Thanks.
All right, thanks for watching, everybody. See you later. Bye.
These are probably going to end up in the wash.